What? Come up where you can see. Not as good at your desk in a class. We're going to move a lot. So what shape do you think this piece of fabric is?
For the bottom of the
It's a donut. Okay? It's a donut. If I take a donut and stretch it out this way, really stiff muslin, so I have to play with it a little to get it to do what I want it to do. If I stretch it out this way, it almost looks a little bit like a ruffle, right? This particular kind of ruffle is called a flounce. F-L-O-U-N-C. If you take the 1A class, you're going to learn how to draft the donut and sew this onto the bottom of the skirt. This is a flounce. Okay? So when you open up a donut shape, it creates this sort of ruffle. Now this is another kind of a ruffle. What shape do you think this bigger ruffle piece is before it was sewn onto this smaller piece?
rectangle.
It's a rectangle, okay? How do you think it happens? You gather it. So the whole top part is scrunched up so that the top part becomes narrower than the bottom part. The top part here is narrower than the bottom part, but it didn't need to be gathered. Just the geometry of it made it narrower. So the bigger part at the bottom has to decide what to do. And usually what happens is that bigger part goes out and then in and then out and then in. It sort of weaves back and forth to kind of fit within the space. Same thing is happening here. The fabric is going out and in and out and in and out and in. Okay? And the way it's going out and in, if I was looking at one slip, looking at it from the bottom, it would be just sort of waving in and out. And some of the waves would be smaller and deeper and some would be wider. But it's just a wavy line. Everybody seeing that? So these are almost identical, except the top part of this one doesn't have gathers and the top part of this one does. Okay? So each of these little waves that's happening kind of turn into a cone. So do you see how this is sort of a cone and this is sort of a cone and this is sort of a cone? So there's these triangular shaped bits of cones. Okay? So if I drew a row of cones, and the cones sort of disappear, so I don't have to draw the top part. Okay? If I drew a row of cones, this might represent the outward bumps that are happening, okay, where it bumps outward. Because remember a cone, if we're looking at it from one perspective, this is the edge, so this would be the outward bump. Outward bump. And then this might be the inward bump. I guess it would be a bend, but I don't know, whatever you want to call it, okay? So wherever the fabric goes outward, we're going to draw it with a smile shape. Wherever the fabric goes inward, because it's going out and then in again, out and then in again, we're going to draw the inside of the cone, okay? And how that's going to work, I'll grab another pencil. So you almost have to think of this as two sets of cones sort of superimposed. So they kind of crisscross. It goes kind of out and then kind of curves back in on itself. So think of the inward bump crisscrossing over. Okay? And you only actually see part of it. What ends up happening is if you follow the path of this fabric, it would follow, once it goes here, where does it go? It hits the out. It kind of curves back in on itself. So it's this sort of wavy line action. If this were see-through, that may be what I see. You guys seeing that? Okay. So this is, anytime it goes out, I do a smile. Anytime it goes in, I do a little frown. And I want you to notice that this frown and this smile don't meet up. If I had them meet up, it would just be a wavy line, and that's not really what's happening, okay? So it's like smile, and then it follows up the side of the cone a little bit towards round. And I'm making it really exaggerated here just so you can kind of see it. And then down again. It's different than, I kind of think of this as like the top of a castle when you're little and you're drawing a castle. It's kind of like that, except it's not perfectly vertical. So we're going, if I was just to draw the edge, it would kind of be smile, and then diagonal in, frown, little frown, diagonal back, smile, diagonal in, little frown, diagonal back. Okay, kind of seeing that? So if I were to draw this on the skirt, I would make each one of these cones a slightly different size, because that's what's happening. It's kind of random. Some are smaller, some are bigger. When it's time to put in the narrow edge, we'll use maybe the bold marker, but a few times to make it really, really fit. So let's pretend I'm doing the narrow edge right now. Okay. Would I put the narrow edge here? No, this is the side of the actual fabric. But the frown portion and the smile portion would have that bolder line. Okay, seeing that? Okay. Now if I wanted to turn this drawing into this, it still has cones. You know, this has been flattened on the wall for a while, so it's not as voluminous as it used to be when it was first sewn. But it still has cones. All I would need to do, if I wanted to turn this into, so this could be a flounce. I could sew this to the bottom of a skirt, or I could sew it into the waistline and make it a peplum or something like that. If I wanted to turn it into gathers, we all know what they are. How do you think I could draw them? And get everybody's attention up here. What do they look like? They look kind of like darts. Are they straight? Are they curvy? They're kind of like little parentheses shapes. And they're kind of messy and kind of random. But the idea is that it's kind of a organized mesh, right? So if they're short ones, they're similar short ones kind of spread throughout. If they're long ones, they're similar long ones spread throughout. Okay, it's not a pattern. It's not like long, medium, short, long, medium, short. It's a random but evenly distributed mesh. Okay, so the way I like to draw gathers, it's hard to do on the board. It's easier for me to do it by hand. I try to make some long, some short, some are like little V's. Some actually might connect with the cone themselves. It might hold all the way up. Some might loop around a little bit. And it just takes a little bit of practice to kind of, wherever there's a cone, I might kind of pull it up. Okay? So some continue all the way up, some don't. And some are just very, very little. So kind of an organized mess. But it's the same bottom shape. It's just whether or not you put the crumples up there. Does that make sense? So on this, on the peplum, right here, there's no gathers. This is just a flounce. So if I open this up, this would be a circular piece, right? The gathers are over here though. Okay? So we can put gathers coming out of this little princess diamond sort of thing. So do you see how some of them are really little and some of them are really long, and they look like parentheses on their sides, right? And you see what direction they're pointing. They're kind of perpendicular to this edge. So they're flaring this way. And some of them, think of it as kind of like a sunburst. So some of them are flaring this way, and then they sort of radiate upwards towards the bust. And because of gravity, I'm seeing more smile-shaped ones. Okay? If this were hanging the other way, I might have half left and half right-ish. But these are more going this way because gravity is pulling the fabric down. Are you seeing that? Yeah? So, and some of them are really long and almost touching the side. Some of them are really, really teeny. So again, there's an organized mess going. I do have an example of these gathers on small scale, so you're welcome to kind of photograph that if you will. Now this fabric is fuller than her. Okay, do you see what's happening over here? It's sort of lumping because there's extra fabric here getting forced into a smaller space. So what shape do you think will happen here? Should you use a ruler?
No.
No, you shouldn't even use a French curve. Like these gathers and these squares, none of this is French curve or ruler. This is all just gesture drawing, okay? So here you might go, okay, it's sort of following the form and then lumping out and then denting in and lumping out again. When you go to draw one side, I would just ink those shapes. I pencil in the general shape and then I just go and ink it, okay? When you go to ink the other side, does this rumpling look the same as this rumpling? They're different, okay? So you'll generally pencil in, here's where it is, and you'll trace to the other side, here's where it is. But when it's time to go ink, you know, the little rumples, make them different. Don't trace it through, okay? Because it's different. The fabric flows differently. Same thing with the flares on the skirt. Don't draw 3 perfect flares on one side and trace it to the other side. It's going to look awkward. Try to make sure that each side has kind of one big one and one small one, but they should be in different places. Make sense? So we're going for kind of an organic, non-patterned, but still even method.